Hey everyone, so in today's vlog we're going to talk about pain. Why do you keep going through these scenarios and situations and stories of pain? Is this what your future looks like? Like, what is going on? So here's the thing. When you want to nip pain in the bud, is that what it, nip it in the bud? If you want to nip it in the bud, you have to look at what are you getting out of by holding on to certain anxieties and painful situations. What is your payoff? Let me give you an example. Now, my husband passed away 14 years ago, and I held on to grief and loss and all of the depression that comes with being lonely for well over a decade. 12 or 13 years, I just was in a state of severe loneliness. And guess what? Loneliness was my payoff. I isolated myself from everybody after he passed away. I isolated myself from friends. I isolated myself from family. I had a couple of close friends, and that is it. I created my own social circles where I could still hold on to the loneliness. So I had good friends, but I had friends from afar. I had one or two that I would message and text with often, but usually these friends were not like super close. So if loneliness was my payoff, how do you even know? Because loneliness feels shitty. Yeah, and that's exactly what it did. I felt shitty for like 12, 13 years, but I didn't know that that shitty feeling that loneliness gave me was an anchor. And it wasn't until I started observing my life and I started realizing that, oh my God, there was a point in that 12 years where I actually took pride. I started taking pride in being alone, and I started taking pride in doing things for my son as a widow. So the anchor of the grief was loneliness. But what happened was, because I embraced that was my payoff, and I embraced the loneliness in this weird twisted way. We all do this. This is the veil, right? Because I took that loneliness and I started integrating, because now it's a personality trait, right? If you hold on to a negative feeling, and when I say negative feelings, if you look at Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, anything under 200 is negative. So feelings of fear, I was riddled in fear for 12 years, riddled in fear. Just fear of loss, more loss. I was riddled in it. So, and in Dr. Hawkins' scale, fear hits about 30. So remember, anything over 199, anything under 199 is negative. It's a negative path. So for a very long time, I was well under the 199 mark and just riddled with guilt. Not so much anxiety, but the fear, the loneliness. So what happens is, when you get so used to being riddled in these lower emotions, not only does your body respond with disease, but also you have to rationalize this in your mind. And my way of rationalizing, and we all do this, right, was, okay, I'm proud of being alone. You know what? I am alone and I'm gonna rock it. So there came a shift, and I'm not sure when in the 12 years. Was it the midpoint? Was it 6 years? Was it 7? I don't know. I can't remember. But there is a point where I began to embrace it. And I'm not even sure how many years that went on for, but it wasn't until a couple of years ago where I started recognizing my patterns. Like, why is it that I enjoy this loneliness? Okay, fine, I'm an introvert, but what is it that I'm getting these same patterns of people leaving in my life? And often it was me. Often I was the one, if I didn't like the way I was being treated, or I felt disrespected, or I was like, I'm not doing this with you. I had no fucking problems being like, later, never gonna talk to this person again. I went through my own grief process, of course, but at the end of the day, I was like, okay, well, that person wasn't meant to be. It's a good thing because I got rid of a lot of people that could have caused me more havoc. But it's also because I was extremely comfortable with being alone. It's like, whatever, okay, life goes on. See you later. So in the last 2 years is when I started recognizing that, oh my God, this is part of my karma. This is the learning lesson that I am here to get rid of and get over it. So how do you, now it's a personality trait. Once a characteristic or a feeling like loneliness, once you get comfortable with it and you start to embrace it, and this happens over years, it becomes a personality trait. So when I began to recognize these patterns, I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna break myself out of this? And the easiest way to do it is, what is the opposite of loneliness? And the opposite of loneliness is being social. The opposite of loneliness is engaging with others. The opposite of loneliness is actually going to parties and talking to people and creating a community at your yoga studio. That is the opposite of loneliness. So it's been a couple of years, and that's why I'm ready to do this vlog, because I can rationalize it in my head and I can now give my experiences. And if you're going through this or any other emotion and it's become a personality trait, you want to do whatever is opposite of, for me, was loneliness. What's the opposite of it? And what's happened is now, like in my yoga studio, for example, I have a community going on, you know, like people love me in the yoga studio because I consciously was working on myself, and I was like, okay, I can't be coming here and just keeping to myself. I'm gonna say hi to people. So I started saying hi to people, and I started engaging with people, and I started releasing the sense of loneliness. And now when I walk into the studio, people say hi to me because I began to create this community. And that's what dissipated the loneliness. I mean, it's still there, but now it used to be roaring at 100%. But now with this balance of socialization and community, I can truly tell you, it's like, I think socialization and community is probably at about 60% for me, and then the loneliness is about 40%, honestly. But that is how you dissipate anything that is under 199 on David Hawkins' scale of consciousness. You do the opposite. And you have to, you don't just think it, you do it. And was it uncomfortable for me to be like, hey, hi, yeah. But whatever, now 2 years into this, what can I call it? Can I call it a case study? Because I was like, you know what? If people don't respond to me because I'm so used to being alone, if they don't want to say hi, they won't say hi. That's totally fine. So I used it as like a little case study. And you know what? 100% of people actually appreciated the hi. They really did. So really understand your feelings. And the more you feel something and you don't address it, it starts to layer. So my grief started to layer over 12, 13 years, and then which turned into a depression, a long-term depression, which turned into many illnesses actually, which then turned into constant loss in my life, in everything I did, whether it was YouTube or businesses, but it was constant loss because I was under 199 on the scale of consciousness, and I was in a state of lack, constant lack, because I was embracing loneliness. Do you see? I really hope this vlog helps lots of people out there, because that's what my intention is for this vlog. I love you guys so much.